Picture this: a packed Los Angeles crowd. The energy already sky high as Clipse takes the stage. Pharrell rumored to be in the building, fans losing their minds with every beat. But just when the night seemed like it had hit its peak, the unthinkable happened. Kendrick Lamar, the man who's been laying low, staying in the shadows since his explosive feud with Drake, suddenly popped out of nowhere. No warning, no announcement, just pure shock. Phones shot up into the air, fans screamed in disbelief, and social media erupted instantly. Was this a reunion, a power move, or a warning shot? Some say Kendrick's surprise appearance wasn't just about music. It was about sending a message to the entire hip-hop world. The look on Pusha T's face, the whispers from the crowd, even Pharrell's reaction, all of it painted a picture of a night filled with tension, unity, and hidden drama. And while the crowd cheered, insiders are now claiming this hip-hop moment came with backstage arguments, unresolved rivalries, and secrets that may just explode in the coming weeks. Trust me, you won't believe what really went down that night, and how one surprise appearance might change the course of rap forever. The atmosphere inside the venue was electric, with every beat from Clipse shaking the walls and the fans feeding off the energy. People were already calling it one of the best hip-hop shows of the year. But then, almost like fate, Kendrick Lamar appeared from the shadows at the side of the stage. There was no announcement, no introduction, just a quiet figure stepping into the spotlight. At first, some in the crowd couldn't even believe their eyes. The cameras started flashing, voices broke into screams, and within seconds, the entire internet was buzzing. Squally, it was the kind of moment that feels bigger than music. Squally that instantly gets etched into hip-hop history. But what most people didn't realize was that Kendrick's sudden arrival carried far more weight than just a cameo performance. Sources close to the show revealed that Kendrick hadn't planned to come at all, that he had been wrestling with the decision for weeks. He wanted to make a statement, not just to the fans, but to the industry itself. Ever since his feud with Drake left the rap world divided, Kendrick had been moving in silence. Friends described him as more focused, but also more conflicted, torn between staying in his reclusive bubble and stepping back out to reclaim his throne. The Clipse show became the turning point. As Kendrick walked onto the stage, Pusha T's face told its own story. Some described him as shocked, others as thrilled, but there was also a flicker of tension. It wasn't just a friendly surprise, there were conversations behind the scenes that hinted at a bigger agenda. Pusha, who has had his own long history with Drake, knew that Kendrick's move was about more than music. The crowd roared as the two embraced. But behind that hug was a silent understanding. Lines were being drawn again in hip-hop, and alliances were being tested. Fans on social media began speculating immediately. Was this a shot at Drake? One user tweeted. Another wrote, "This feels like the start of something bigger." Within minutes, hashtags like #KendrickReturns and #HipHopMoment were trending, with fans dissecting every glance, every word, every interaction between Kendrick and Clipse. But while the crowd saw unity, insiders whispered about arguments erupting backstage earlier that evening. Apparently, some members of Kendrick's camp had clashed with organizers about whether, or not, it was the right platform for his reappearance. One eyewitness claimed that voices were raised, and at one point, Kendrick even threatened to walk away from the venue altogether. He was pacing back and forth, one insider revealed. He kept saying, "If I step out there, it changes everything. I can't go halfway. It has to mean something." Those words showed the weight Kendrick carried with him that night. It wasn't just about performing a verse or giving fans a thrill. It was about signaling his return, planting his flag once again in the center of hip-hop's battleground. The drama didn't end there. As Kendrick and Clipse moved through their set, the energy shifted in the room. People in the industry, crowder. Rappers, producers, executives watched closely, and some weren't happy. One rival producer was overheard muttering, "He's stealing the spotlight. This isn't his night." Jealousy and frustration rippled through the VIP section. The performance was incredible, but the backstage politics were just as fiery. After the show, stories began spilling out about what went on once the lights dimmed. Allegedly, a heated discussion broke out between members of Clipse's team and Kendrick's entourage. Some felt Kendrick's appearance overshadowed the group's return, while others insisted it was the perfect collaboration. The argument grew louder until Pusha himself had to step in. "We're not fighting about this tonight," he reportedly said. "Tonight was history. Let's not ruin it." But not everyone was convinced. Whispers of betrayal began circulating, with some accusing Kendrick of using the event for his own narrative rather than to celebrate Clipse. Even Pharrell, who was spotted in the wings, was said to have had mixed feelings. While he cheered for the moment, insiders claimed he later questioned whether Kendrick's timing was calculated. It felt too perfect. One source quoted him as saying, "Like it was planned to send a message, not just to entertain." This suspicion created a wave of speculation. Was Kendrick's return really spontaneous? Or was it a carefully crafted power play in the ongoing chess game of hip-hop rivalries? Outside the venue, fans continued to buzz, but even they picked up on the undertones. One group waiting for rides argued about it openly. "That was amazing, but I feel like he hijacked the night," one fan said. Another replied, "Nah, it was love. This is what hip-hop is all about, unity and surprise." These debates spread online, with thousands of fans passionately defending their side. The fandom itself became divided, mirroring the industry drama brewing behind the scenes. The night grew even more dramatic when rumors leaked that a well-known artist connected to Drake was backstage, watching everything unfold. Though names weren't officially confirmed, gossip blogs exploded with theories. Was it someone sent to keep an eye on Kendrick? Was it pure coincidence? Either way, the tension spiked. According to one insider, the energy backstage was so thick you could cut it with a knife. Everyone was waiting for someone to say the wrong thing. Kendrick himself remained calm, at least on the surface. He smiled for fans, hugged Clipse, and even cracked a few jokes with Pharrell, who know him best, said they could see the storm in his eyes. He wasn't just there to rap, a close friend shared. He was making a statement without saying a word. The whole night was a message, and that's where the mystery begins. Because once Kendrick left the stage, the whispers only grew louder. What was his true intention? Was it reconciliation, revenge, or a warning to his rivals? One thing was clear: this was no ordinary guest appearance. It was the spark of something much larger, something that might shake hip-hop to its core. As the crowd dispersed and social media continued to explode, the story was only just beginning. Kendrick's move had reignited old wounds, stirred up fresh rivalries, and left everyone questioning what would come next. And while fans celebrated the moment, those behind the curtain were already preparing for the fallout that was sure to follow. Because when Kendrick Lamar decides to step into the spotlight, it's never just about the music, it's about shifting the entire balance of the culture. And that night at Clipse's Law Show, the balance had officially changed. Backstage at the venue, the tension was thick enough to suffocate. Kendrick had just walked off the stage, the crowd still screaming his name as Clipse wrapped up the rest of their set, but behind the curtain, it wasn't all celebration. Members of Kendrick's entourage huddled together, whispering heatedly while Clipse's team paced nervously, clearly unsettled by the way the night had shifted. A moment that was supposed to be about Clipse had turned into the talk of the hip-hop world because of Kendrick. And not everyone was happy about it. Pusha T, still sweating from the performance, pulled Kendrick aside. "You know what you just did out there, right?" His tone wasn't angry, but it carried weight. Kendrick simply nodded, his face calm but unreadable. "I did what I had to do," he replied quietly. It was time. Their conversation was short, but its meaning rippled through the room. Some took it as a sign of alliance, others as a brewing conflict. No one could deny that the moment was powerful, but whispers started flying. Did Kendrick overshadow Clipse intentionally? Or was it a genuine show of love? One member of Clipse's camp was overheard saying, "This wasn't about us anymore. It was about him." And that's not what we agreed to. Farrell, who had been standing near the sound booth during the performance, approached later with a furrowed brow. "That was historic," he said, his voice measured. "But Kendrick, you need to be careful. It's the way people are going to spin this. It's not just a performance anymore, it's a statement. And statements come with consequences." Kendrick looked at him with a slight smirk. "Let them spin it. I'm ready for whatever comes." That kind of confidence shook everyone. But behind closed doors, it wasn't just industry folks feeling conflicted. Kendrick's family, who had come out quietly to support him, also found themselves pulled into the storm. His cousin reportedly told someone backstage, "We've been begging him to stay out of the drama, but he won't listen." He says this is bigger than just beef. Bigger than music, he wants to prove something. The family was proud but nervous, fearing that this reemergence would throw Kendrick back into the same cycle of conflict he'd tried to escape after the Drake feud. Meanwhile, outside the venue, drama was already unfolding among fans. Small groups argued loudly, some praising Kendrick as the savior of real hip-hop, others accusing him of being opportunistic. "He just wanted to steal the shine," a fan shouted as he stormed away from the venue. This was Clipse's night, not his. Another fan fired back, "Are you crazy? This was history. Kendrick made this show unforgettable. We'll be talking about this for years." The division wasn't just in the crowd, it was spreading online like wildfire. Blogs and gossip accounts wasted no time fanning the flames. One post read, "Sources say Kendrick didn't even tell Clipse he was coming, he just showed up." Another countered, "This was a planned moment of unity. Don't let anyone twist it." The conflicting narratives only added fuel to the fire, and soon the hip-hop world was drowning in speculation. But perhaps the most shocking twist of the night came later, when a video leaked from backstage. In the clip, muffled but intense voices could be heard. One voice, believed to be from Clipse's camp, said, "This isn't your war to fight, Kendrick. Don't drag us into it." Kendrick's voice cut in, calm but firm. "This isn't just my war. This is hip-hop. And if you're in it, you're already a part of it." That clip set social media ablaze. Fans replayed it endlessly, debating its authenticity, dissecting every word. Was Kendrick reigniting his feud with Drake in a public way? Was he trying to build an army of allies, starting with Clipse? Or was he simply speaking on the state of the culture? As if the night wasn't dramatic enough, rumors swirled that a representative from Drake's camp had been in the audience, watching closely. Though never confirmed, multiple insiders swore they saw a familiar face lurking in the VIP section. You could feel the tension spike when people realized one attendee claimed, "Everyone was whispering, if Drake finds out, this is going to explode." Kendrick himself seemed unfazed, but those around him weren't so calm. His team argued over strategy in hushed tones. Some felt he should seize the moment and release new music immediately, while others urged caution, warning that the backlash could be brutal. "Don't make the same mistake twice," one manager reportedly told him. "You've already got Drake breathing down your neck. Don't. Give him ammunition." The pressure was mounting, and Kendrick's inner circle was splitting down the middle. Some believed his return to the stage was destiny, a move that would cement his legacy forever. Others worried it would drag him back into endless battles and distractions. Even Kendrick's own brother, who rarely comments publicly, was said to have confronted him that night. "This isn't you," he told Kendrick. "You've always been about the music, not the circus. Don't let the circus swallow you." Kendrick's only reply was, "Sometimes the circus needs a lion." The phrase quickly went viral after a crew member tweeted it. Within hours, fans were making memes, quoting it as proof that Kendrick was back and more fearless than ever. But others saw it as arrogance, a sign that he was itching for war. The hip-hop community was split, and the family behind Kendrick was left divided, unsure whether to celebrate his courage or fear for what might come next. And yet, through all the noise, one thing was undeniable. Kendrick had the entire culture talking again. From diehard fans to industry veterans, everyone was waiting for his next move. What would he do after a moment so explosive, so controversial, that it threatened to shift the balance of hip-hop? As the night dragged on and people left the venue, whispers continued to swirl. Kendrick didn't just pop out for a surprise performance, he lit a fire under the entire industry. And the question lingering in everyone's mind was simple: what comes after the spark? Because sparks, as history has shown, often lead to flames. The next morning, the hip-hop world woke up to chaos. Social media was a battlefield. Kendrick's surprise appearance at the Clipse show wasn't just news anymore, was a storm. Blogs plastered headlines like "Kendrick hijacks Clipse's night," while others called it the return of the king. Fans were divided, and industry insiders were whispering louder than ever. Every outlet wanted to spin the story, but the truth behind the scenes was even messier than anyone imagined. Kendrick, usually quiet and reserved after shows, didn't disappear this time. Instead, he held a private gathering at a small hotel in downtown La. Close friends, family members, and a few industry allies were invited. The vibe was meant to be celebratory, but tension hung in the air like smoke. Some guests were excited, praising him for making history, while others couldn't hide their concern. "You've opened the floodgates," one friend said, shaking his head. "Do you realize how many people are going to come at you now?" Kendrick sat back in his chair, calm but stern. "They were already coming. Last night just made it clear I'm not running from it anymore." The words carried weight, but not everyone was convinced. Sister, who rarely speaks on his career, broke down in tears. "We just got peace back in the family," she said, her voice trembling. "Do you know what you put us through last time? The late-night calls, the threats, the constant pressure. We can't go back there." Kendrick reached out, holding her hand, but his resolve didn't waver. "This isn't about me anymore. It's about the culture. I have to do this." Meanwhile, members of Clipse's camp were having their own crisis. Some felt betrayed, believing Kendrick used their night as a stage for his return. One insider from their circle leaked a message online claiming, "We had no idea Kendrick was going to show up. That was supposed to be our moment." Post went viral, fueling the narrative that Kendrick had hijacked the show. Pusha T eventually tried to squash the rumors with a statement of support, calling Kendrick family, but the damage was done. The seed of doubt was planted, and fans began speculating whether cracks were forming between the two camps. And then came the bombshell an audio recording leaked, allegedly from backstage, where a heated argument between members of both teams could be heard. In the clip, someone shouted, "You think this is about unity? This is about war." Another voice, eerily similar to Kendrick's, calmly replied, "Then let it be war." Though unverified, the leak spread like wildfire, convincing many that Kendrick's appearance wasn't just symbolic, it was a declaration of battle. The industry reaction was swift. Producers, rappers, and executives began taking sides, some praising Kendrick for being bold, others calling him reckless. One veteran rapper tweeted, "Hip-hop needed this." Kendrick just reminded everyone what real competition looks like. Another fired back, "Nah, this is ego. This is selfishness disguised as culture." Drama escalated further when rumors surfaced that Drake himself had called Clipse's management the following day. Insiders claimed he wasn't furious, but his message was clear: don't let yourselves get dragged into someone else's war. Whether true or not, the rumors set fans ablaze. Was Drake preparing a response? Was he warning Clipse to stay neutral? Either way, the tension in the industry was now undeniable. Kendrick's camp, on the other hand, began strategizing. Push for him to drop a diss track immediately, to strike while the buzz was hot. Others warned that moving too fast could backfire. During one particularly intense meeting, his manager slammed the table. If you go to war right now, you're gambling everything. You want to be remembered as the greatest, but greatness doesn't come from impulse. It comes from timing. Kendrick, leaning forward with that quiet intensity only he has, replied, "Timing is exactly why I did what I did last night." Outside of the industry, fans were dragging family members into the spotlight. Kendrick's wife, usually private, was suddenly bombarded with messages online. Some praised her for standing by him, while others accused her of enabling his reckless decisions. Friends of the family said she was torn, proud of his courage but terrified of the backlash that could follow. She wants to protect their kids from the noise, one insider revealed. But she knows there's no stopping him when his mind is set. To make matters worse, the media began digging up old wounds. Clips of Kendrick's feud with Drake resurfaced. Interviews were reshared and think pieces flooded in, painting Kendrick as both a hero and a villain. One article read, "Kendrick is risking it all for hip-hop's soul," while another slammed him as a master manipulator who thrives on chaos. And in the midst of all this, a shocking twist emerged. A rival rapper, known for his connection to Drake, suddenly posted a cryptic message. "If lions want a circus, then the cages better be strong." Fans immediately connected it to Kendrick's "circus needs a lion" quote from the night before. The post was interpreted as a direct shot, and speculation erupted that a new rap war was brewing, one that could pull multiple artists into the fire. Kendrick's family was left shaken. At the hotel gathering, his mother finally spoke up, her voice breaking with emotion. "You don't know what it's like watching your child walk into danger over and over. You think it's about legacy, but to me, it's about whether you come home safe. I don't care about the culture, I care about you." The room went silent, the weight of her words cutting through all the noise. But Kendrick, though visibly moved, still stood firm. This is who I am. I can't turn my back on it." Night, while the world debated his motives, Kendrick returned to the studio. Insiders said he worked until dawn, pouring out verses with an intensity no one had seen in years. One engineer whispered to a blog, "It's like he's preparing for war. It's the things he's saying on these tracks. If they ever drop the whole, game will stop," and so the stage was set. What started as a surprise appearance had snowballed into a cultural earthquake, shaking families, friendships, and fan bases alike. And everyone knew it was only a matter of time before the next move would be made, one that could either solidify Kendrick's throne or drag him into a storm he couldn't escape. The question on everyone's lips was simple. Was Kendrick ready for the consequences of the fire he had just lit? The tension in hip-hop had reached a boiling point. Days after Kendrick's surprise appearance at the Clipse show, the industry was still in a frenzy, and the atmosphere felt like a countdown to an explosion. Every move was being dissected, every post analyzed, every silence treated as strategy. Kendrick had done more than perform, he had shifted the balance of power. And now everyone was bracing for the fallout. Inside Kendrick's camp, the mood was complicated. Half the team was celebrating, convinced they had just witnessed a legendary comeback. The other half was panicking, worried that the fallout would be too much to contain. Late one night, during a heated meeting in Kendrick's studio, arguments erupted. One voice shouted, "You're playing chess with people's lives, man. This isn't just music, it's careers, it's families, it's reputations." Kendrick leaned forward, his voice calm but unshakable. "That's exactly why it matters. If I stay quiet, nothing changes. If I speak, at least I shift the conversation." As his team argued, news broke that another leaked video had surfaced. This one showed Kendrick and Pusha T in what looked like a tense discussion backstage after the show. Though the audio was distorted, fans claimed they could hear Pusha saying, "Don't drag me into your fight." Kendrick's blurred figure seemed to respond, "You're already in it." The video spread like wildfire, sparking theories that Kendrick had pulled Clipse into his feud with Drake without their consent. Push's silence only fueled the rumors. Fans bombarded his social media, demanding answers. While gossip outlets ran headlines about fractures in the alliance, insiders claimed Clipse's camp was frustrated, feeling like their long-awaited moment had been hijacked. One even alleged that Pharrell himself had called a private meeting to discuss whether they should publicly distance themselves from Kendrick before the situation escalated. Further, but Kendrick wasn't backing down. Instead, he doubled down on his message. At a small event in Los Angeles, he spoke briefly to fans, his words dripping with intensity. "Sometimes you don't wait for the right moment, you create it. And sometimes that moment makes people uncomfortable. But truth usually does." The crowd erupted in cheers, but critics pounced, calling his statement arrogant and inflammatory. Meanwhile, the drama had spilled far beyond the stage. Kendrick's family, who had already expressed fear and exhaustion, found themselves dragged even deeper into the chaos. One tabloid ran a story claiming his wife had been spotted in tears outside their home, while another claimed his brother had stopped speaking to him entirely. Whether true or exaggerated, the narrative was clear. The family was fractured, caught between pride and fear, and then came the betrayal no one saw coming. A member of Kendrick's own circle, someone who had been close to him for years, leaked a private text exchange to a blog. In the messages, Kendrick reportedly admitted, "I knew showing up at the Clipse show would set off alarms. I wanted it to." This isn't just about music, it's about forcing people to pick a side. The leak sent shockwaves through the community, confirming suspicions that his appearance had been a calculated move. Some praised him for being strategic, while others condemned him for manipulating the moment for his own agenda. The fallout was immediate. Certain producers who had been quietly aligned with Kendrick began pulling back, fearful of getting caught in the crossfire. Others leaned in closer, eager to ride the wave of drama and history. One young rapper tweeted, "Kendrick just opened the door for a new era. If you're scared, step aside." Another fired back, "Nah, this is ego. It isn't about music, it's about chaos." The division was undeniable, and it was spreading like wildfire. And then, as if the story couldn't get any more dramatic, rumors surfaced that Drake himself was preparing a response. Blogs reported that he had booked an emergency session with some of the top producers in the game, and whispers suggested a track might already be recorded. Fans were on edge, convinced that a new chapter in the Kendrick-Drake saga was about to unfold. Hashtags like #DrakeResponse and #KendrickVsDrake started trending, even though nothing had been released yet. The anticipation alone was enough to send shockwaves through the culture behind the scenes. Kendrick's team scrambled to prepare. Some pushed him to release music immediately to stay ahead of Drake. Others insisted he wait, let the tension build and strike only when the time was perfect. The debates grew so heated that at one point, two of his closest associates nearly came to blows. "This isn't just strategy anymore," one shouted. "This is war." Kendrick, as always, remained calm in the eye of the storm. But those close to him admitted privately that he was feeling the weight. "He's carrying the whole culture on his back," one friend said, "and it's breaking him down. But he'll never show it." The climax came when Kendrick hosted a secret listening session for a handful of trusted allies, according to those who were there. The music he played was unlike anything he had done before, raw, cutting, and unflinching. One track allegedly contained lines so sharp they would ignite the feud into something hip-hop hadn't seen in decades. People in the room were stunned into silence. One producer whispered, "If this ever comes out, the game will never be the same." But even in that moment of triumph, the cracks in Kendrick's world continued to widen. Family members who once stood by him were distancing themselves, tired of living in the shadow of conflict. industry allies debated whether to stick with him or protect their own careers. Even some fans began questioning if the drama was worth it. And yet, despite the chaos, one undeniable truth remained: Kendrick had put himself back at the center of the culture. He had reignited the fire, forced conversations, and made the world watch again. Whether loved or hated, celebrated or condemned, he had once again become the heartbeat of hip-hop. As the dust settled on those first chaotic days, everyone was left wondering the same thing: what comes next? Would Kendrick unleash the tracks that could shake the industry to its core? Would Drake fire back and reignite the most talked-about feud of the decade? Would Clipse publicly choose a side or retreat from the storm entirely? And most importantly, how much more could Kendrick's family endure before the pressure tore them apart for good? The answers weren't clear. But one thing was certain: Kendrick's decision to step onto that stage in Los Angeles had already changed everything. The balance of hip-hop had shifted. Alliances were fractured. And the entire culture was holding its breath for what would come next. Because in the world of hip-hop, one moment can rewrite history. And Kendrick Lamar's surprise appearance at the Clipse show was that moment, a spark that could either light the path to a new era or burn everything to the ground. And so, here we are, standing at the edge of a moment that feels bigger than one show, bigger than one artist, even bigger than one feud. Kendrick Lamar's decision to step into that spotlight at Clipse's LA show wasn't just a performance. It was a move that has shaken the very foundation of hip-hop. What looked like a night of unity quickly revealed layers of tension hidden. Agendas, emotional battles, family struggles that are still rippling through the culture. Fans are left divided, with some calling it the greatest return in rap history, while others accuse Kendrick of hijacking a moment that wasn't his. Clipse's camp is caught in the middle, unsure whether this alliance is a blessing or a burden. Whispers of betrayal continue to swirl, with leaked messages, viral videos, and rumors of brewing diss tracks only adding to the chaos. And then there's the looming shadow of Drake. Will he respond? Will he ignore? Or will he strike in a way that could redefine the feud for years to come? But beyond the gossip and speculation, one truth remains. Kendrick has forced us all to pay attention again. He's reminded us that hip-hop is at its most alive when it's unpredictable, when it carries drama, emotion, and risk. And whether you love him or hate him, you can't deny that he's set the stage for something monumental. Now we want to hear from you. Is Kendrick's surprise appearance an act of unity or a calculated power move? Did he make history? Or did he cross the line? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. We'll be reading every single one. Don't forget to like this video if you want more deep dives into hip-hop's wildest moments. And make sure to subscribe so you don't miss what happens next. Because trust me, the story is only just beginning.